So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Lucky's tank and actually redoing it and rescaping it, and hopefully it turns out well. So let's get into it. So what's going on, guys? Justin from Main Show Plans, and I'm doing Lucky's tank today. The reason being is this tank has been severely neglected. For one, it's just a dumping ground for pretty much any excess plants we got. Anytime there's like algae on plants that we need to get rid of, I throw it in this tank because we have a pleco. The pleco just cleans it right off. We have a bristlenose pleco in here, and he just makes quick work of any kind of algae that's on leaves. So he does really good. Also, we got snails in here that help also kind of take care of it. But Lucky and his tank has just been something that we've neglected. I haven't done maintenance on it. Actually, ever since we set up the new stand for it, when we had to bring down his tank, the whole scape got messed up, and ever since then it's just kind of been something that I haven't been interested in like kind of fixing. So I'm actually going to get around to it today. I'm excited about it. We're going to do something a little bit different than what was originally here, but kind of similar. We're going to use a lot of the same stuff that was in here. We're going to add some new plants, and the one thing that I want to kind of emphasize with this tank is it's going to be primarily all easy to grow plants that like we sell here. Like, the whole purpose of doing this tank this way is to show what can be done with just a regular old light. This is a very simple light. It's a Phoenix light, no CO2 and no extra like fancy substrate. We're using regular sand substrate. I want to show what can be done. So my goal is to kind of get this to a truly planted tank, looking really nice, but also keeping it in mind with the goldfish. So we're going to use some goldfish friendly plants, and we're going with kind of like a pond theme on top of that. So I want to keep it like kind of looking like a pond. We're not really going to do anything that grows out of the water too much, although I may change my mind through it. I don't know until I get in there and see. But my primary thing is to use maybe some lilies to, you know, have like some floating stuff on top and whatnot. But I'm going to give you guys a close-up of what the tank looks like now before we actually do anything, because I want to show you guys and actually be like, hey, I messed up, I haven't done anything, and I want to show you what it looks like now. One thing to note, there was another goldfish in this tank. She passed away out of nowhere for really no reason. All of a sudden one day she just stopped swimming, so unfortunately she passed away. We never named her. I was actually calling her Nameless for the longest time because I thought it was cute, but unfortunately she's passed away. But we still have Lucky. Lucky's doing great, and the other fish in here are doing good, the bristlenose, all the snails, and everything like that. And by any chance, if you want to go back and check out the video that we did on the original setup of the tank before we moved in and got all out of whack, I'll include that up above, and you could go check that out before watching this to see what we do with it. But without that, let's get into it, and I'll chime in when we have some points where we need to talk about things. So what I just got done doing is basically I cleaned out the tank. I took out all the leftover plants that were in here that shouldn't be in here, such as Anubis that was in pots. I also took out a ton of hornwort. This was kind of the dumping zone of all the hornwort that we were getting in recently. So pretty much there was just a lot of it in here. And hornwort tends to melt back a lot in the very early stages. So there was just a ton of debris on the bottom of the fish tank, and a lot that was caught over by the filter intake. So the filter actually kept getting clogged, so I have to always keep kind of cleaning it out just because of all the debris from the hornwort itself. And that's why actually the python kept getting clogged too when I was sucking all that up. So I had to actually go over there, restart the siphon, get it going and all that. And that's why I had to keep going back and forth. So now that it's mostly clean, there is still some debris on the bottom of the tank, but I'm not worried too much about that. Once I kick on the filter and fill the tank back up, that'll recirculate, and that should be kind of sucked out through the filter, and there shouldn't be any issue because this tank was clean before we added all that hornwort. So it was just, you know, between the goldfish picking at the hornwort and then it getting scattered across the tank and then the filter getting clogged, it never had a chance to keep up with it. So that problem should be eliminated, and then the sand should be pretty much white within, I would say, a week. It should go back to being pure white, and all the debris will get kicked up. Now, I got a ton of plants here that we're going to be planting, but pretty much very simple stuff. So, what I want to reuse that was in the original setup was this bulbitis here. Bulbitis is a really beautiful plant, and it's hard to come by, especially finding pieces this big. So I'm going to use this to put around where the center piece of the wood is. So I'm also using pygmy chainswords. We actually did a video on those recently. If you want to check out that video, make sure you watch it, because pygmy chainswords is a really easy carpeting plant. So my end goal is to have the whole bottom of the tank pretty much carpeted out with pygmy chainsword, and that's what I'm hoping happens. For a little color, I got some Cripwinditti reds here and browns, just to add a little splash of color throughout. I got one big dwarf aquarium lily. This thing should really fill in nicely. Now in this tank it kind of has the theme of being crenums. I have two different crenums. I have Crenum calamostratum and Crenum tyanum. Now this is Crenum natans. It's a very small one. I mean, it's barely able to be seen. It's a baby one. It's a pup, but I'm going to throw it in here. Hopefully it takes and it grows as big as these other ones. I've had these other ones pretty much since they were very tiny as well, so they've grown quite well. And then in this bucket I also have a ton of Italian val that I'm going to kind of just fill in the back where the bulbitis will be, so that way as it grows I want to try and just fill in the whole background with Italian val, and so that way you can't really see the background all too much. And then just for kicks I got this Apogeton. I believe this is the Longiplumus, and it's going to look really cool. I'm going to put it kind of in with the wood too, I think. It may not actually wind up in the final design, but we'll see. So I drain the water all the way down, and I'm going to leave it all the way down while I'm planting, just so it's easier for me to see what I'm doing, and that way I can pick out and move anything, because there's a lot of anchors left over, a lot of lead anchors from the plant weights from all the plants that we threw in here, so I'm going to try and pick those out as I go, and also that way it allows me to see where all the fish are. It's easier for me to, you know, keep track of things. So let's get into planting it. So I'm done planting. I planted all the plants pretty much except for the Apogeton. I don't know if it really fits in here right now. I have a lot going on. So I'm going to fill it back up, see how it looks, and make any necessary adjustments, and maybe pick out some of the other things that I didn't get to pick out, like the all the anchors and stuff that are still in here. And yeah, we'll see how it looks. So let's fill it up. Alright, so we've pretty much done everything we can do as of right now. I'm going to let this sit for a couple hours, maybe even overnight, and then come back, because obviously the water's too cloudy to really see how it looks all the way back. But I think, from what I could tell, so far so good. Now, the pygmy chainsword in the front is all still transitioning. I had thrown it in here maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and so there's a lot of browning and there's a lot of new growth as well. So we're gonna just kind of have to wait and let that do its thing, fill in. Right now it looks, you know, just like little plugs all over the place. So it's just gonna take time for all this to come together as far as all the plants in the foreground. But the background, from what I can see, looks pretty good. We'll see how it turns out. This crenum is rather large. I don't know if it really belongs in this tank, but I don't really have another aquarium to put it in right now, so it's gonna just have to stay in here. It's massive though, so. But overall, he looks much more active and much more happier. I think the fact that we changed things around, it's new scenery for him to check out. I just hope he eats all the duckweed lately. He hasn't been doing that, so we'll see. But we'll check back in about, I don't know, real quick like this. So it's been about 2 or 3 weeks now since I actually done this tank, and all in all, it's coming together very well. There is some algae going on some of the old growth that's dying off of the new plants that I planted in. But as of right now, everything pretty much cleared up. Most of the substrate is now clean like I originally thought it would be. It just looks a lot better, and it's just going to take some time for things to grow in and for this algae to kind of subside. Because we made so many changes to the tank, we took a lot of things out, it kind of offset a lot of things. So that's natural, and that's kind of a thing that you just kind of have to be aware of. When you make big changes, things are going to happen. Algae is usually going to happen, and that's just, you know, kind of normal. The fish seems to be a lot more active and happier. He's swimming around a lot more than he used to be, so he's happy with his new environment. Also, he's kind of decimated all the duckweed that was on the top of the tank that I was trying to get rid of. He actually went through and ate pretty much everything else that was there, so that was really good. But all in all, I think the tank looks fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens. This is going to take, you know, probably 6 months to almost a year to fully fill in the way I want. So this is just a waiting game now. We planted it. I will probably come in and do maintenance here in the next week to trim up some of the algae. But it's just going to have to work itself out. Even if I come in here and remove it right now, there's still some more that I can't get to. So I'm just going to let it get to a point where I think I can like easily treat it, and then I will, and or remove what I can. So for right now, I'm just leaving it, letting it do its thing. But usually you want to kind of remove it as you can. I'm just short on time. And some things are like moved around a bit. He, I think, may have moved around some plants. Sometimes goldfish do that. They kind of pick at them until they move, and then they eventually do wind up getting uprooted or something. So I fixed a couple of them. But all in all, it's looking great. But let me know down in the comments below what you think of the tank, if there's anything else you would do, if you like it, what other plants you would use, because I have a bunch of, you know, I did a bunch of different ones, like I said. So they're all doing pretty well. The Val's already putting up new growth, I can see it, and so is the Pygmy Chainsword, so those are doing great. All the other plants seem to be doing fine as well, so it's just a waiting game right now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit a like button. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to check out a recent video I did, I'll put it over there. And if you want to check out, I don't know, a viewer's choice video, you can click right here. I will see you guys next time.